I hope everybody had a good week last week and a good weekend. We had several events happening. Certainly the Double Bridge Run, several other things that were happening. Groundhog Day and certainly the Super Bowl being on the same day. So it's a good morning to be here. We spent much of last week talking about what was going on in our community. I think I spent 4 speeches that did the sort of the state of the city. So that was good, and certainly enjoyed the opportunity to bring people aware of what's going on here. And I saw several of you at some of those events from Civicon, I think Rotary, the Navy League, and also the Board of Realtors. So I said if you were a realtor who was in Rotary in the Navy League and likes to go to Civicon, you probably heard this speech enough, those 4 times. We also had a great work day at the airport that we'll touch on a little bit later. Again, next week, we will not have or I will not be here for the press conference. I think we will have a press conference. I think we're not having a press conference?
It's in your notes. Keith will be here.
Okay, good. I was looking back there and I saw all kind of faces looking at me going yes and no at the same time. Brian Cooper's telling me no, Casey's telling me yes, and I'm like, maybe we'll be here. I'm Ron Burgundy.
The following week is President's Day. We'll be here on the 10th. You just won't.
Gotcha. All right. So yes, we will be here on the 10th. We will. So I will be gone for two of the next press conferences. Keith Wilkins will be here next Monday, and then we will not have a press conference on the 17th. A couple of things that are happening obviously next week. When this happens, there'll be some celebration that's going on for Chappie James' 100th birthday, and certainly. We will, I think Jewel will be participating in my stint since I will be out of town. I hate to be out of town because Chappie's 100th birthday is also my birthday. I'm going to be exactly half his age, but I'll be out of town for that as well. So looking forward to that next week. But I think there are a lot of events planned for the weekend and for the beginning of the week, so I think those will be a part of it. Tonight, one of the things we talked about and was significantly going on out at in the speeches that we made, we talked about what was happening at the CRA. There will be a workshop tonight. Community Redevelopment Agency will host a public workshop at 5:30 here at City Hall in Hagler Mason Conference Room. That's where it's scheduled now. If size becomes an issue, we may have to move, but at this point it is Hagler Mason. The purpose of the workshop is to review projects for funding from the Urban Core Redevelopment Refunding and Improvements Revenue Bond, including Bruce Beach, Main Street, hashtag, Maritime Park, Day Marina, Escape Street improvements to Jefferson Street. So there are a number of different projects that will be shown tonight, and we have a little over $17 million that we're working on as we move forward. Also tomorrow, and I appreciate Brian being here, I see the Pensacola Supplier Diversity Exchange is tomorrow. This is just a last reminder that the Pensacola Supplier Diversity Exchange will happen on February 4th at Sanders Beach, Corinne Jones Resource Center. This is a free event featuring opportunities to market your goods and services directly to local and state buyers. More information is available at cityofpensacola.com. So we hope you'll take advantage of that. I'm looking forward to coming by and speaking in the morning and getting things kicked off. So I look forward to being there. Again, walk-in hours are going to affect today. They've changed at inspections and in planning. This is just another reminder to let you know that those walk-in hours have changed for inspection services, engineering services, and planning services. The new hours are 7:30 to 2:30 Monday through Friday for inspections and engineering, and 8 o'clock to 2:30 for planning. So again, if you need to come in during those hours. Then after that, we will continue to try to process. This will certainly give some of our staff an opportunity to process stuff. So by the end of the day's work, we can get everything done. They'll be ready to move forward and start with walk-ins the next day. We certainly are hoping as we transition more to our online services that we will be declining in what happens in certainly walk-ins, but we still do have those, especially for citizens. Typically, our contractors, we look to take advantage of the online services. Citizens who need more assistance, we certainly are here to help them get through those questions. But the hours will be changing, and they will end at 2:30 for walk-ins. Youth sports registration. I see Brian back there. Registration for girls volleyball at the Vickery Resource Center and Pensacola Youth Soccer is happening now. Volleyball registration deadline is Friday, February 21st, and youth soccer deadline is Sunday, February 16th. We hope your youth will take advantage of these opportunities available through the City of Pensacola Parks and Rec. And if you need to learn more, please go to playpensacola.com. That's playpensacola.com, and you can see what's happening with our kids and recreation opportunities. Finally, I guess the press conference we already mentioned. I did want to also go over what we were doing with the airport. This past week, I went out and had a great time with Dan and his staff and got a chance to see what happens at the airport. I tell you, you see a number of things happening there, and it's amazing what's happening and where we've seen traffic totals go to. There's a lot of planning coming up for what we're going to do. We clearly have to move forward. We've got so many people coming. We continue to look at opportunities for parking and what we can do, and we're probably looking to expand the deck. You will see us making some changes over the summer to move some of the lot parking that is there right now and move it so that we can begin expanding the deck to the north. I mean, we keep working, and our staff keeps working at opportunities. We're at 23 destinations. We're trying to do more. I know Dan is looking at international opportunities, other domestic opportunities. We'd like to see the Newark route. It's going to come back this summer. We'd love to see that become a year-round. We just opened up one that went to Baltimore. So again, there's a number of different things that are happening. If we continue to go in this route, at some point, we may need to be looking at expanding the airport and having more terminal space. But we're not there yet. But I'm certainly looking to the future and what is happening and what we're seeing happen in air travel. We have two great runways. They're both at the same length. I had a chance to go through them, understand what happens in checking everything from making sure that the curbs are no higher than they're supposed to be to making sure there are no rocks. Rocks are very bad. They can get sucked up in an engine and destroy it. So we went through and picked up rocks, and I even got to get a couple of them. So Kimmy was there with me. So we were both eyeing rocks and picking up rocks off the runway. So we even got to scare away a couple of birds and shoot the little firework gun that they have. So, but we didn't set anything on fire, so that was good. We were able to go out with the new fire equipment. We didn't shoot any foam, but we did shoot water. We had a good time doing that. We got a chance to see some of the new fire equipment that we have there. It's impressive. We got a couple of new trucks back in October, so it was very impressive to see what we have out there. And again, we also got to see them do a simulation, bring all of the parts that deal with aviation in the event that there was some kind of a problem, just go through, how do they all coordinate. It's fairly impressive to see what happens. It's just amazing to think, so many things are going on at the airport. We have over 2 million people a year travel through that airport and passengers. And so it all goes through, and Dan and his crew do a very good job of keeping it moving seamlessly. And of course, last week we made it an intergalactic airport. Again, we were preparing for, in preparation for Pensacon coming. So those were some of the things that we were doing. Again, this next week I'll be in Singapore, looking forward to being there with ST. Not just looking, obviously aviation is going to be a big part of it. We're going for the air show that's there, but there are opportunities. We're going to be able to chance to meet with the chairman of ST, the aviation side, and going to meet with him, but also having a chance to meet with the chairman of the overall companies. They have multiple different product lines that they use. Their Marine Services MRO is in Pascagoula. They have, they have other stuff. They're one of the leaders in smart city technology. So we're hoping to learn a little bit about the things they do, and if there are opportunities for other companies they have to do something here in North America, we'd love for them to do that and create more jobs here in Northwest Florida. So looking forward to being a part of that today and going and visiting them next week. Unfortunately, I won't be here. I'll miss a couple of events that are going on next week, but we will be back on the 17th. Unfortunately, we'll not have a press conference that day for President's Day, but getting back here for the end of February. I'll open it up to any questions. Happy to answer any questions y'all may have.
Yeah, Mayor,
Yes.
You talked about making all these speeches, which are kind of like State of the Cities. Are there plans to do a formal State of the City?
We've asked that question several times. We feel like we stand up here every week and tell you what's going on. That probably that Civicon was as good of opportunity. And again, I've done 2 Rotary clubs, Navy League, and a board of realtors. If you didn't hear over the last 2 weeks, we certainly can go somewhere else. If anybody wants us to speak, we certainly go there, and we'll be more than happy to provide the same speech. But I think a lot of it was out there. It's online. You can see what's there. I do know that there were some complaints about some of our slides were maybe downtown oriented. I want to be real clear. We're not simply doing things downtown. We simply had slides for things that were downtown. We had a slide for Hollis T. Williams. We did not have a slide for Carpenter's Creek. But I think if you remember, at least every speech I gave, we talked about what we're doing on Carpenter's Creek, and we believe that that's important work. The reason we have no slide is it is just getting started in the planning stage. In fact, I believe February 19th at, is it still Washington High School, or is it Vickery Center? I think I'm not sure whether it was Washington or Vickery, but I know at some point we can discuss where that is going to be, where the county is doing their Restore project. They're having a town hall meeting, and we'll be there as a part of that. But again, there are things happening. I want to be clear also, we're talking about creating more walkability right there in District 2 and Burgess Road. So that project's supposed to be coming back, and we continue to hear things that we're going to be moving forward. I think the engineering is coming back on that. I mean, obviously, there's still some things we're working around. One of the challenges, we want to save as many trees as we can out there, but we have a number of trees that are in the right-of-way that may create challenges to creating those sidewalks. But we're going to work however we can. We're still looking at opportunities. We talked about recreation and what we can do with Vickery. We can expand what's going on with Vickery with an opportunity to do another. There is no community center in District 2, but we're looking at that and seeing what we can do. And I think if we look at a new center, it would be in that District 2 area to be compatible with some of our programs like basketball and volleyball that would allow us to do more games, more opportunity, continue to expand those programs. So we're going to continue to keep working in other areas that are outside of the downtown area. And, again, there are a number of things we're looking at, but we had the slides we had, so those were the ones we showed. But we did talk about a lot of things that are going to be outside the downtown area, and we're going to keep pursuing those opportunities.
When do you think the Spring Street changes will take place?
I think we were talking late spring.
On Spring Street,
Yeah.
the project's going to be put out for bid next week, and we're looking at probably trying to get it turned around
April, May?
late April.
Yeah. So spring will be done in late spring.
And it's just striping is all you need to do, really, right?
Just striping, yeah.
It is striping. We'll take some striping off. We'll add some new striping on, but yes. Yes.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, on your trip to Singapore, I recall I don't know if he was the director or the CEO that came and spoke to us
Yes.
at the press conference. And you talked about all the wonderful opportunities that they're going to be able to provide for our youth. Will you be exploring any other opportunities while in Singapore?
I think we obviously, those are the aviation, and we're going to continue to do that. I think you are going to see, I spoke with a couple people related to Triumph last week that I think you are going to see us bring forward a request to do some training. There was a request, if you remember, that went to the school board, and I understand the school board was not was concerned about the number of certifications and the clawbacks. I can assure you that ST has no concerns. They have to teach those kids. They have to get the education done. So I think they will come forward. The city will be their sponsor, but I think that will be coming forward in the near future. It was one of those things. It was unfortunate. I wish the school board had picked it up, but I understand why they didn't. But I think that's something with the city. Working with ST, they're going to be more than happy to deal with any of the clawbacks and take the responsibility on that. They've got to get they got to get the certifications out. They're ready to get that started. So I think that's one of the things we'll be talking about. We continue to work. Bill Hafner, who came here, he will be making the trip as well, so he will be over there with us. I'm sure at some point that those will be discussions we're having. I know that we're going to see a lot of their operations. I've spent a day just going to several of their operations and seeing what they do within aviation, but also within other parts of it. And like I said, they do a number of things related to smart city. We'd love to bring those opportunities. If they were going to bring them to North America, we'd love to have them bring them here in Northwest Florida. We think that is a good fit, and that's one of the things we'll be out there discussing. We'd love to make more of their North American centric when they think of their operations in the United States. We want them to think about the northern Gulf Coast. Like I said, they already have a fairly good footprint here, and that's where we want them to really focus on what they do.
And what was the gentleman's name?
Bill Hafner.
Bill Hafner.
Is there at all an SC or something else? Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna ask, when you go to Singapore, are you, to have a successful trip, do you have any specific objectives you wanna accomplish?
I think we want to know where we are in the remainder of Project Titan, what we're going to be doing with workforce, and the presentation we'll make to Triumph, looking to deal with the education side and workforce development training. So that'd be it. And I think lastly would be setting the groundwork for more opportunities for other business that they do come here to Northwest Florida. I mean, we'd love it if it was in the city of Pensacola. It may not work in the city. It may be in Escambia County, maybe in Santa Rosa County. But, I think, again, the more we can get them to think about doing this in Northwest Florida, and certainly making more of their operations in North America here, our long-term goal certainly is to see their North American headquarters. We'd love to have that here in Pensacola.
And before I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Before we leave the subject of that training, you used the word callbacks a couple of times.
Clawback. And Triumph has these clawbacks, which means
Okay.
if you don't meet what happens, they can get the money back. You have to pay them back. So one of the reasons the school board, because they weren't sure what would happen if they could get enough people to get to those numbers of the certifications, they were concerned about having to repay the money back once they had already spent it. And so, from their standpoint, they want to graduate students, but they really have no control over what the students, the jobs they get. ST, absolutely, in order to fill jobs, has to teach people. They have no problem moving into it. I think a couple of weeks ago, this is one of the things I spoke to is, I think if we really want to focus in giving people economic opportunity, we need to do workforce training, and I think this is one of the most important things we can do is we can give people skills, we can give them different skills and an opportunity to go earn a living. Not only is this workforce training, but we actually do have jobs, but whether they, again, ST acknowledges for 1,700 jobs, they'll have to train 3,400 people, which means you'll have another 1,700 people trained that will can express, you find other things to do. If you have that many people who are trained with certifications, there will be other people that want to come here. We see a clustering of an MRO group happening, both marine and aviation, in this region. Certainly the thing that happened, the paper announced, I think everybody announced, the press, about the helicopter, the Italian helicopter manufacturer bringing an MRO facility into Santa Rosa County, only further says, again, there's an opportunity for us to build a cluster here and to be successful in what we're doing. And I think we just need to keep building on top of it. The best way to build it is to have people who are certified with training certifications. That talent is our most important thing that we can do. And so we've got to find a way to create talent and get kids and other individuals here in our community that are interested in doing that, get them involved in those classes, and get them started so they can earn a certification in aviation. From there, it really gives them the opportunity to set their prices. And I think if you remember when Bill was here, he said, the great thing about what they do is it's not like you have to go to work, and a lot of people would love to go to education, but they can't stop working because they have to pay things. Theirs is more of an apprentice program. You won't be making necessarily what you will be when you get out and you have the certification, but they can pay you so that you can afford to still keep going to school. So you're getting paid while you're going to school and getting that education. You'll be doing some work for them as well. So, I thought that was one of the things that I really liked about what they did, and that sort of apprenticeship. Flip side of that, the other part of what the school board looked at was construction trades. Very much something that is interested in the county. when Commissioner May and I met with Ms. Gilly, I know that there was interest, the county expressed, in picking up those construction trades and doing those at the Brownsville area and doing those as part of the program that they had once talked about and going forward with that. So I think they have a real desire to do that. I think that would be huge. It would be great. We love Brownsville. While it's technically in the county, it's right by the city, and it's right by an area of the city that we want to see creating workforce opportunity and training. So we think the better skilled we can make all of our individuals and citizens in Pensacola, the better we'll be as a community.
So what I heard in the beginning when we were talking about the benchmarks and clawbacks was a kind of a concern that ST wouldn't sort of follow through. You know, we were all wondering, would they hire as many people as we wanted them to? What I'm hearing now through several different comments today, previously Bill Hafner, sounds like more of a concern that we can't supply the labor market they need. At what level of concern do we have right now that we aren't going to be able to get the 17 and 3,400?
I think to an extent they're always concerned about the labor market, and I mean especially when you have an unemployment rate of 3%, it's a concerning part about labor. But they think they offer opportunity. I think there's still a tremendous amount of labor opportunity here that is, again, that we just need to tap and make sure it enters the workforce. I mean, I'd rather see you getting a skill there than doing something else. What we talked about earlier, joining a gang, variety of other things. I mean, that doesn't show up on the economic stats, but it's there. I mean, people choose to engage in that activity. Obviously, we see the downside of some of those things. We've had the gun violence. Much what I mentioned a couple of weeks ago is there is an opportunity for us to start training, and you can get that training. And by the time, if we start now with it, by the time those hangars come up, by the time they build them, they'll be out and ready to go. So yes, there is, I think, more the desire. While some people were concerned they weren't going to come through, I think the bigger concern is, will we be able to have the labor force? And I think without the training program, I don't know that we will. But to me, the most critical part of ST has never been necessarily the hangars of the other part. The most critical part to me was the workforce training. Because once you create talent, you have that ability. I mean, education, whether it's your universities, your state colleges, whatever it is, the better educated your community is, the better you will be, with your skills. So having an opportunity to do workforce skills, whether it's the construction or whether it's in the aviation side, that's what's going to make Pensacola better.
So I guess I'm still not quite hearing that. Like, are we on track? Are we below expectations? How far below expectations?
I think there was sort of an understanding by ST that the school board was going to take this. When they didn't take it, there is some concern that it needs to happen. But I don't think it's a concern of what happens from there. I think it's a concern of, okay, we need to step up and go to Triumph. And I think that's one of the things we've been discussing with them.
Go to Triumph
for the workforce.
To fund a workforce development program?
Absolutely, and help them fund that.
But, I mean, Don Gates scolded us for coming for too much money all of a sudden.
Not workforce related. I think they were tired of that. But I think we were one of the larger people up in the beginning. I mean, we are not the largest suppliers of Triumph funds now. There are a number of communities that have gotten other things that haven't produced nearly the number of jobs that we're producing. So again, what we're looking at is not a job creation. We're looking at workforce development, which I think is something Triumph does want to do. I mean, they want to do it with the school board. I understand why the school board had some concerns with the callbacks, but I think at this point, when you come with a corporate partner who needs the people, they have no problem with that.
So what sort of a funding ask are we looking at? What kind of a program are we looking at?
Something probably similar to what was in the $3.5 million that came from the school board, and it will probably be added a little bit more. So we're still working through that. I'm waiting to hear back from Stephen. I had dinner with him back in January to discuss this upcoming trip, and much of what we talked about was going forward with workforce opportunity. Again, this is, like I said before, to me, workforce is the most important part of the ST thing. If you get the training, you have the skills, we'll find other companies that want to come here.
And are we talking, I'm just trying to understand everything here. Are we talking, like, I thought George Stone was already doing some of this. Are they not? Are we looking for adults, high high schoolers? I mean, I know all of the above.
All of the above.
What are you looking to
All of
create?
the
What's
above.
next step?
I think they are looking to take the idea of their workforce training and expand it. They're looking, what George Stone is producing is not enough for what they need, their demand. So I think what they're looking to do is ramp up. George Stone will continue, but there's an opportunity for them to ramp it up and significantly produce more, which again, all of that's better for us. The more talent, the more certifications, the more educated we are, the better skills we have, the better the community is.
Are you talking about having it expand George Stone's program?
Nope.
Or creating a brand new program
I think ST would want to do something on their own with their Airman Academy that they mentioned when they came here back in December. Yes.
You said the city would be sponsoring it. Would the city be able
No, much the same way that on the hangars, the clawbacks are all going back to ST. But the problem is with Triumph does not give money to private companies. They'll give it in a partnership, a P3 partnership they'll need a public entity partner.
So no risk, really?
We don't see any risk when ST's taking all the clawbacks.
How far along is ST on the first hangar as far as recruiting the 300 jobs? And is it meeting the deadlines that's required to do that?
They are ready to meet the deadlines. Their second shift, I think, is really dependent upon getting hangar 2 implemented. I think they're right there what they can do, but the problem is they need that second hangar to complete out their whole thing.
Wasn't the first hangar built under the premise that they were going to bring 300 jobs just to that one?
They're 400 is the ultimate goal. 400 is the ultimate goal, but they are not opening the second shift at this point. There's a little bit of a critical mass that they don't have. I mean, they have enough airplanes here with what they've got, but what they would need to do to have a whole shift in place, have a second shift come in at this particular time, they've not gotten to that point, but they do believe they'll be there fairly shortly. And when they talked about it, I mean, obviously they can't get started on Hangar 2 fast enough because they believe then that will allow them to create the economy of scale, that they can work with other planes, other things they need to get done in Pensacola, other than just having the one hangar with the UPS client.
So any of the agreements that existed before the Triumph funding as far as getting jobs at that first hangar, are they meeting the requirements?
They're meeting the requirement. They have a build-up time and everything that they had to do, and so they're meeting that requirement. The challenge that we have right now, again, is sort of getting them to an economy of scale of what they can do and switching different planes. I mean, they've been chomping at the bit to get Hangar 2 or what's component 1 of Project Titan. Obviously, we slipped about 3 months or 4 months, if you remember, when we didn't have the funding, and last year in February we had to go get the funding. That 3 or 4 month slip sort of changed a little bit of the horizon as far as what we could do. So all of that had a little bit of impact on where this goes out. But again, we are committed. We did something the other day. We moved forward with getting the contractor. We're ready to break ground here ceremonially in March. I think they're already doing the work they need to get done right now. So we'll have a groundbreaking and we'll get started going under from there. So they're absolutely ready. They feel like they need that second hangar to really help them take advantage of some economies of scale. And when they do that, they see nothing but ramping up. But what they do want to do is they want to get started on the training program. So they had hoped that the school board was going to take advantage. It was going to be a little bit bigger. George Stone will continue to do what they do, but I think they would like to ramp up their programs that they mentioned specifically. And so I think that will be happening.
Is this whole topic one of the key things that you're going to work on in Singapore with them?
It's one of the things we're going to discuss for sure.
Ahead of the CRA meeting tonight, have you talked to Jewel at all?
About what?
About her thoughts on the $17 million, where she thinks. I remember during those meetings last summer, she had some reservations about spending it on downtown-centric stuff.
I mean, Jules one vote. I mean, I realize. I mean, the chairman is Jared Moore. I haven't talked to Jared either, but my feeling is that they'll figure it out. They've expressed clearly the interest of what they want to do. I mean, I know there's some concern. I know Councilwoman Myers has concern anytime we do the CRA, but the money is the CRA money. It is supposed to be done. They're all 7 are equally important, and they all equally have an idea as to what they want to do. So that's why we wanted to bring these things forward to them and discuss it. But I think she's aware of certainly the things we've talked about. I see Don in the back. I expect he's talked with the council members.
Do you have any a read on their thoughts on this?
No, not that I would share.
It's a little bit of a sunshine situation, Jeremy. I mean, you can talk with me as much as you want to. With them, they have a little bit more of a sunshine issue. I don't vote, so not a problem for me. If you knew what Jewel wanted, it would create a problem for the other 6. They couldn't talk to you about anything. If you were to publicize what she wanted publicly, you could be using the press to go through the sunshine. I wouldn't. Well, yeah. Listen, when I was at the county, if I discussed something, I would automatically shut the other 4 members up. So you have to be a little bit careful. And I don't think Don wants to do that to any of the other 6 council members he works with.
So with the workshop tonight, the 17 million, do you have how much each project you're proposing is going to the preliminary?
We have costs associated with it and sort of ideas as far as how it will be, some things that are there, but there are phases. Karen, my understanding is we have sort of those costs within phases, so they can make decisions within that.
Correct. That'll be shared tonight during the workshop.
Is it going to be spending the entire 17 million? Or are you leaving room for it? These are all coming from your suggestions? How'd you reach these projects?
We tried to understand what we thought we knew was the consensus of where the council wanted to go, and we're putting them out. There will be our ideas, but the whole thing will be there. They have $17 million. They appropriate. They ultimately will be the deciders of the appropriation.
One last thing, going back to the Spring Street, and I know you talked about this during your speech, but I guess what was the motivation to put a red dot there, just in general?
I think parking. I think an idea to put more parking in and where we could do that and create street side parking. People continue to be very concerned about parking downtown. We've heard that loud and clear. We're trying to make that available. I think you'll also see a signage campaign to deal with signage. Because there are spaces there. I mean, there is a whole deck down here on Cedar Street in front of Stifel Nichols that's on Cedar Street that's wide open on nights and weekends. And I don't think most people know that. And I don't think most people know how to get there. So again, we need to do a little bit better of wayfaring. We're also working right now. The county had shut off the top deck at their area. We're working through DIB to do some improvements to the elevators so that we can secure the elevators properly and be able to still utilize the parking. So again, we want to talk about employee parking. We want to offer opportunities at lower rates for employees that park downtown to park there on top of that deck. I feel like it's a very safe place for them to park. We want to find a way to do that. And then I really want to see what I was told the last time we met with Mike Caro and Lisa Dees is that they were looking to do the same kind of thing, some variety parking for employees on the top of the Jefferson Street deck. So again, we are looking at a variety of ways we can address parking. One of the ways we thought we could do it was bringing in more street side parking, and Spring Street will do that. Right now it may seem a little bit far to the west, but again, sort of one of those commodities. The closer you get to Palafox, you're probably going to have to pay more. The further you can get away from Palafox, 2 blocks, we want you to have free opportunity for nights and weekends parking. We're going to be making improvements here at about the same time on lighting. So, Derek, I think we should be putting in the lights on Spring Street about the same time.
The lights are out for bid right now for the installation. We should have those costs back in approximately 2 weeks, and then we'll go from there. But this area, the Spring Street area and all this around City Hall, will be the first to go in.
So again, we'll be having more lighting here on the west side. We also think while today you might say it's a little bit out of the area, we think is what happens with Community Maritime Park and the things we want to do there and the things to the west of City Hall, is that all happens, we will find Spring Street right in the middle of all the activity in Pensacola, both east and west. And so we think it would be, we felt it would be the ideal spot to put more street side parking. Yes?
And Mayor, it will add, the plan we currently have will add approximately 50 spaces for this section of Spring Street south of Garden.
Okay. I was hoping we were more like 70, but yeah, that was what.
It should be 122 once we're all said and done.
Yeah, it'll be a total of 100 in that, we don't know exactly yet, but it'll be somewhere in that ballpark.
Okay.
Okay. Now, 70 then, I guess, or now?
I would have to look at the plan, I don't know.
But you said 122 total is the goal from Maine to?
About 100, yeah, 100, about 125 total will be the goal, so still massaging it.
So, those are the things that that we've got. We'll continue to keep pushing forward and figure out ways we can add additional parking spaces there. Yes.
Yeah, switching gears, Mr. Mayor, I was happened to be at a Super Bowl party with Gloria Horning, I think her name was. She's very heavily involved in environmental issues. And somehow or another, I got talked into coming and wearing a shirt. But when I woke up this morning, I couldn't remember why would I be wearing a shirt? If there's going to be something big going on environmental issues at the city council meeting today that you know of?
Again, I don't know what may be what may be having. I mean, if council members plan to do something,
put it on a shirt. I don't
if council, I think Ann originally planned to have her environmental meeting on the 3rd, and we kind of, that meeting is moving. So this week, I think we are planning to have she wanted to have, that was the meeting on the, about the walkability on Cervantes. I think, is that scheduled and coming forward?
It's not scheduled yet, but that's.
I was told to be here at 5:30 today, and I'm not sure.
5:30 tonight's the discussion on what we're going to do with the CRA improvements, and maybe Gloria's got an idea what she wants to do. I don't know. I mean, certainly we listen to all citizens. But again, this I want to be very clear. The ultimate path we take going forward is not any particular citizen. It's not the mayor's decision. It's what ends up getting a majority of council members. They appropriate. So, it's not one council member. It's not one citizen. It's not one anything. It'll be a collective group, and that's how we make decisions. And we're going to be making them that way. We'll look forward to seeing what comes forward.
Well, being a part of the media, I just wasn't sure if I'm supposed to be sitting up there with a shirt on advocating for an issue that I just want to be kind of clear.
Again, depends on whatever, it's their meeting tonight, so you might need to talk to the council. Talk to Don afterwards.
We're glad you're good.
All right, if we could change the subject, Randy has one for you that I left, I guess. There were some reports this morning in the New York Times and Navy Times about the NAS shooter and a claim by Al Qaeda in Yemen. You didn't hear this yet?
Mm-mm.
Yeah, and New York Times, Navy Times, several other outlets claiming that Al Qaeda in Yemen had made a statement saying that they had some influence over the NAS shooter. News to you? I mean, if it weren't from such high-profile publications, we laugh. But
I mean, listen. I think we certainly. I think we still, are certainly feel. I think there's still a sadness, and I think we want to have we're still working with the Navy League is going to take on some kind of a position to do something. Probably the end of February, the first part of March, having a ceremony for the community, because there really wasn't a chance to grieve. There was a great memorial service at the base, but citizens weren't allowed to get on the base. So I do think we're going to have that. I think we still grieve in some ways. I think we all, one way or the other, figure that this had some kind of certainly belief this individual had, or something happened. I mean, it clearly prompted them to do something is what was characterized this past Friday. We had a great ceremony that witnessed, with the sheriff's deputies and the NAS law enforcement out there responded to. And again, certainly Highway Patrol and PPD were part of the response. The shootout was over by the time they got there, but what they did, and certainly as they described it, it was some force of evil. If it had some other connection to other evil around the world, I mean, that's just what it is. But there's no doubt that it was an act that clearly had nothing but evil intentions. And it was, from our standpoint, last Friday was really a chance for us to recognize the good in our community. The good was the people who responded to put down the evil. And I think that's what happened in December. And I was very proud to be a part of the service that was there Friday to recognize those individuals, all those individuals with either the Sheriff's Department or the NAS Police Department. They responded, they addressed it, and again, they terminated it, and we moved forward. As far as what happens in the post write-up, the only important part to me is we continue to stay focused in what we do. Can we, in today's world, are you 100% safe in preventing? No. I mean, we enjoy a free society, so we'll always have a little bit of an exposure. But I think if what we saw in December is what's happened, I want you to know, if you're in Pensacola, everybody's going to respond, and they're going to respond in a way they're trained, and they're trained to take out the situation and neutralize it. And that's exactly what they did. And if it happens again, we'll be here. I certainly pray that it never does, but I'm not naive enough to know that we live in a world where we can control all those factors. All we can control is how well we respond to it, and I think the Sheriff's Department showed that they did, PPD, and if something happened again, I think we would respond accordingly and address that way. Thank you very much, and hopefully you'll be here tonight for whatever causes or things that happen this evening.
You didn't even ask what the show was.